Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Acupuncture is My Life. Now in this episode, this is going to be a two-part series. Why? Because I've received an inordinate amount of questions concerning symptoms of diabetes. And I'm going to attempt to get a little more detailed in my discussion on diabetes in this podcast, as well as the one that'll be following this one. Because, this is a serious issue. I mean, diabetes is a growing global concern. Over 422 million people globally suffer from this chronic illness. Now that's a problem. It's a huge problem. And diabetes can lead to issues such as kidney failure, blindness, strokes, heart attacks, and more. So proper management of this disorder is better to be addressed sooner rather than later. And it all ties back into me saying over and over, along with your annual visits to your physician, to see your physician, you should undergo regular wellness visits throughout the year with an acupuncturist. This is important. And also, along with doing that, download the Acupuncture is My Life app. This is how so many people are contacting Acupuncture is My Life to discuss various ailments, issues, health-wise. Discuss their concerns, and maybe if acupuncture can help. And you can find the app free at the App Store, whether you have an iPhone or an Android, doesn't matter. But there are things you need to look out for when it comes to diabetes. And I'd say the first can be weight loss. That just out of nowhere, you just began to lose weight. And this can be a symptom of diabetes. Like you can just look up and you just lost 8 pounds of your body weight without even attempting to increase your level of physical activity or even dieting. That's a sign of a medical problem. Now, it can be due to depression, it can be due to celiac disease, it can be due to malnutrition, but it can be a symptom of diabetes. Another is changes in your vision. Are you noticing with time your vision has become blurred and is progressing? Blurred vision is one of the early symptoms of diabetes. And ultimately, this damage to your eyes can eventually lead to blindness. And this is as a result of too much sugar in the blood. And this excess amount of sugar in the blood tends to affect the retina of a person's eyes. And, seeing an acupuncturist, along with your annual visits to a physician or your physician, acupuncture is great at helping a person manage this disorder. And I'll safely say that, manage. Okay? I don't like using the word cure under no circumstance. So I'll safely say manage this disorder. Now, another can be, are you noticing you're constantly thirsty? Now, when your blood sugar shoots up, it causes you to feel super thirsty. Like, oh my gosh, I need some juice or water or whatever. The best thing to do, for one, room temperature water. Don't reach for fruit juice or soda. Nothing that requires a sweetener in it. Room temperature water would suffice. And see your acupuncturist right away, or see an acupuncturist right away. Because, see, an acupuncturist understands that health is wealth. We understand that the wealth is not in the bank. It's not in the safe. It's not in your purse. It's not in your pocket. It's not under the mattress. It's not in the shoebox in the closet. It's not under the doghouse in the backyard. It's in you. We understand that. Another, which is a huge concern. More times than not, if you're diabetic, you're hypertensive. You have high blood pressure as well, which is usually the case for, let's say, anywhere in the ballpark of every 2 out of 3 people diagnosed with diabetes has high blood pressure, and they're taking medication to lower it. Okay? Now, not properly managing these disorders can lead to stroke. But when your blood pressure is up, let's say 140 over 90, that indicates you're at a higher risk of diabetes. You need to, and this is why I recommend, seeing your physician on an annual or semi-annual basis. They're going to run blood tests for this. They're going to run tests for this. Your acupuncturist, as well as your physician, will check your blood pressure to monitor whether you have high blood pressure or not. Now, another is, do you feel pain or numbness in your feet? This is a sign of diabetic neuropathy. Now, diabetics tend to sustain nerve damage, and that's called diabetic neuropathy. You really want to address these unusual changes in your life, these symptoms, as soon as possible. You experiencing any of these symptoms, you want to see an acupuncturist right away. Another is, are you constantly feeling hungry and you want to eat large meals? It's called polyphagia. Well, whereas with the thirst, it's polydipsia, because you have the 3 P's. The other P is polyuria. It's where you're urinating a lot. But when it comes to polyphagia, you're feeling hungry a lot. You just want to eat all the time. Now, this is, of course, a medical problem, and it's a warning sign relative to diabetes, but it can also be due to depression and stress. But there would be a higher likelihood it could be tied to diabetes. Are you experiencing, let's say, what's another symptom to look out for, a sign? Yeast infections. Because diabetics have an enormous amount of sugar in their blood, which makes them more prone to yeast infections. Because a spike in blood sugar tends to lower a person's immune system, in turn, which tends to trigger bacterial infection. And symptoms you can experience relative to this can be when you're having sex, it's painful, it's sore, there's soreness, and discharge as well. Let's say when you cut yourself, is it taking an inordinate amount of time, a longer amount of time, extended amount of time for your wound to heal. You're like, wow, I still have this cut here. It's like, it's been a couple of weeks. It's not bleeding, but it's still there. That can be a sign of diabetes or a symptom of diabetes. Because this disorder tends to impede the formation of new blood vessels, which then leads to slower healing process. So if you notice like constant or chronic non-healing wounds, that should be an alarm that you need to see an acupuncturist right away and your physician. Another can be feeling nauseous or even bouts of vomiting periodically. And this both can be experienced by type 1 as well as type 2 diabetics. Diabetes can cause feelings of nausea. And this happens when your blood sugar rises and then it falls. That means there's metabolic interruption that's happening here. And it gives off a feeling of sickness, nausea. And some tend to vomit as a result of it. Another is, are you feeling more tired than usual? And I mean, when I say tired, I'm not talking about you had a long day's work, you were in and out of meetings, or you were laboring hard. Regardless of what type of job you have, you just really went above and beyond and you felt tired. No, let's say you're feeling extremely tired and you haven't done much. This can be considered diabetes fatigue syndrome, where you're feeling either mentally or physically exhausted. And you're feeling tired much quicker than normal. It's a problem. That can be a problem, okay? And these are just some symptoms, to look out for. There's many more, and I'll discuss that in the next episode. But in the meantime, I really want you guys to make acupuncture a part of your life. Because acupuncture is my life. What's yours?